It's been almost 10 months since Ultimates -1 first went up for order and we first learned about some of the engineering and design changes that were coming with this figure. The thing is finally here. This is the minus color variant, not the original one. We've waited long enough. Let's get into it. We'll start off here by taking a look at the packaging here for Minus Color. This looks incredible. When this was shown off at San Diego Comic-Con a couple of months ago, I thought it looked amazing. I told Brian that his packaging team absolutely nailed it. If you are planning to display this figure in its original package, I really don't think that you can go wrong here. They've taken a lot of care here to add extra details and graphics to the package now that the sleeves are no longer a thing, and I really just think it really adds and I really just think that this adds a presence to the package itself. I really can't say enough good things about it. As you can see, I've already taken the figure out because I learned with my Toho Wave 4 video that I really don't have enough room here to actually manipulate these things properly. So I've already gone ahead and taken them out of the packaging. I've put them together. I have my thoughts. I have my concerns. I have my, compliments. One thing I do want to point out, and it's something that was actually pointed out by one of my channel members, Spire Talon. Hello, Talon. I think that Talon actually ended up putting up one of the first video reviews of the -1 figure from Super 7. And in it, he pointed out that the spines on the figure are actually cut into the plastic tray. So when you're going to remove the figure from the tray, you may want to take care to make some cuts into the plastic tray to safely remove the spines. When you get your figure, please make sure that you do this, otherwise you will risk damaging the figure. And if you can notice right about there, do take note with how much light I am blasting this setup with. This is going to be really important when we take a look at the figure, which is right now. Here is Minus Color opened up and out of the package. Now, I did take care to mention the lighting situation because as photos were coming out of this mold, of this one and the original color, people were quick to notice that there's a little bit of gloss happening. And to that I'll say, as I'm looking at it here through the viewfinder, there is a little bit of a glossy finish to the figure. It is nowhere near as bad as some photographs may lead you to believe, or even how this video might lead you to believe. This figure looks its best in natural lighting. I'll put up some photos. While there is a glossiness to the finish of the figure, I promise you it is nowhere near as bad as it appears under extreme lighting conditions. In natural light, I think this guy really does look good. He does still have a little bit of that gloss that you might expect from a toy, but it's not like he's dripping wet with oil or anything close to that. Let's do a rundown of the articulation on this guy. So, new with this release, the head now sits over the neck, where every other Super 7 release actually has the head sit sort of inside the neck. When Kyle and I talked about it in the video that we did together, there were criticisms that the system of the head sitting inside the neck left a feeling of it being more of like a turtleneck kind of appearance. And so the head neck system was redesigned to address that feedback. So taking a look at the head and the neck system, we can get them looking about that far down, about that far up. I'm thinking that if and when we actually see a heat ray version of this mold, maybe they'll redo the neck or redo the head to allow for the more hunched over position when he's actually firing the beam. So this is sort of what we've come to see from Super 7, this neck rotation. Arms go up about that high, and they sit flush back with the body. He's got bicep swivel up here. The arms also swiveled down here. Really great range on the elbows. So about 90 degrees, and then about a full 180. For the torso joint, this is another area of improvement in terms of articulation over the past releases. He has a full rotation here. You might have the spines collide in with each other, so I'm trying to be delicate here to not move him too much, but realistically, he's got all the sort of ab crunch that you would really want or need from this figure. He twists, he crunches back and forth. The sculpt does get a little bit smooth in the area that's exposed when he crunches forward. Take that for what it's worth. The hips have been redesigned as well. Instead of a swivel hinge combo, they are now ball joints. It's kind of hard to see, but they are ball joints now. Here's the range of motion you can expect. He kicks that far back and pretty far forward. Knees, ankle, it all moves, it all twists in what you have come to expect. Moving on to the tail has been completely redesigned from what you may know previously from Super 7. It uses a system of double barbell joints as well as double female sockets for the actual tail, so you can get it pretty much going any way you really need it to go. It feels very reminiscent of the NECA 89 figure. Twist it all the way up. Yeah, like pretty much any movement you're going to want from this guy, I think the tail is going to be able to do it. And see, like looking at that just looks so greasy almost on camera. In person, in natural lighting, it's nowhere near that bad. You're just going to have to take my word for that. So there you have a quick rundown of the articulation of this guy. Now, I have one QC issue, and I have two things I would like to see in the future for Super 7 Ultimates figures. My QC issue is that the torso swivel here actually likes to pop out a little bit easier than I would like. When he's up on a shelf, it's not going to matter, but when I'm manipulating him, sometimes it can come loose. I have blasted it with heat. I have blasted it with hot water. I cannot get it to sit a little bit more securely and more tightly in there. And it's just kind of cumbersome. I do plan on reaching out to customer care at Super 7, and do keep an eye on the pinned comment down in the comment section to see if that gets resolved, and how it gets resolved, more like. So the first thing that I'd like to see moving forward, actually plugging the tail into this figure. This is the first segment onto the tail that gets separated out of the packaging, so you need to plug it into the base of the body. The ball joint socket here is a little bit shallower than I would like, and the ball joint from the tail is actually shorter than I would like. So I would say this connection here doesn't really function as a ball joint. Like I'm not really going to be able to get any movement here. It's almost like just pegging it on and just assuming that this joint is frozen. So all the segments here move. This guy does not really move. So I would really like to see in a future designed product a better connection between the tail and the body, a deeper ball joint socket in here, and then an extended peg from the tail coming in that just lets me get that extra degree of freedom on the tail. And the second thing that I'd like to see in future designs, you already know what it is. It's the hinged jaw. It's the hinged jaw. Oh my gosh. The fact that there's no hinged jaw on this guy bothers me so much more than previous releases, because this guy is so close to being exactly what I want from Super 7 that the hinged jaw, or lack thereof, it just hurts me. It just makes me sadder. We've seen it on the upcoming Super Kaiju line exclusive to Target. We Canadians or anybody else outside the United States are not going to be able to partake in that line, but the jaws there give me hope that we will see jaws in the mainstream Ultimate line sooner rather than later. In terms of accuracy to the render, I will say that this guy doesn't quite have as much gray on him as the render showed off, but in terms of just being a minus color Ultimates figure, I do think that he looks the part, and I do think he is well worth the $85 MSRP. If this truly is the standard moving forward for the Ultimates line, like Brian said, constantly trying to improve, come on, that hinged jaw, I think that this is a huge green flag in terms of what we can expect from Super 7 in the future. You know, we are 2 years into them doing this. Certainly they've taken their lumps in terms of understanding what customers want, what customers are asking for, and I just think that they do a great job of standing out in the market in terms of delivering something that makes you feel nostalgic, makes you feel like you're holding a toy that you would have had as a kid, the heft, the size. I really like this guy. I mean, this is going to shock like maybe one or two of you in the audience, but I'm very happy with this guy. The jaw drives me nuts. I need to get this thing sorted out. I'm super excited about owning this figure. I'm really looking forward to having the original looking color version. I don't know if I'm going to do a video about that one because I ordered it off Amazon, and by the time I get it, everyone else is already going to have it. But I can easily see myself picking up pretty much any variant that comes out of this mold, and from the sounds of it, it seems like there's much more to come from this movie. It's been a long time since this design was first shown off back in November, and along the way I really thought about buying a Monster Arts -1 because I like that movie, I like the design, really wanted an articulated figure on my shelf, and having it in hand, I am very glad that I waited it out. This figure, while I do have problems with the torso, it's everything that I was really hoping for from the Super 7 release, from the Ultimates line. If you were able to score it for MSRP during the 13 hours that it was up, I think that it's well worth that price. As you start to get above MSRP, As you might have heard when I spoke to Brian last time, not this most recent one, but the last time, they're very aware of the situation regarding minus color. It sold out a little bit quicker than they anticipated, that, you know, maybe not everybody had the best intentions when buying up that figure. And as the aftermarket settles out, we may see some decisions made regarding reissues of this one or even future minus color variants. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the original minus one coming out and photos being taken and shared online, because it's always like this vicious cycle. Not necessarily just Super 7, I think it happens with other lines too, but more particular with Super 7 figures, we start to see this routine of photos come out. Photos are not in the best lighting conditions. People panic. Better photos come out. People are less panicky, but some are still unsettled from those first photos. I think it's great that people are excited to get their figures in hand and take photos and share photos online. I just wish that we could all have a little bit more grace in understanding that some of these photos are not the most accurate in capturing what the thing will actually look like in front of you. Here's two photos side by side of minus one, and the figure looks dramatically different. Like, this is not a QC paint variants type thing. This is two very clearly different lighting conditions. One that makes the figure look amazing and one that is not very generous. I do think that this reception is exacerbated by people that, not necessarily bad players, but I do think that in this release specifically, there were some people that needed the figure to be better than the monster arts, and where your bar was, depending on whether, you know, you thought the figure was great and you just missed out on it, or you thought the figure turned out really poorly because of QC. Like, you see a really wide range of reactions. Super 7 is targeting a very small audience with a very specific design goal in mind with their figures, and as they get more and more attention, like, more people are going to find out that, hey, this isn't actually the kind of product that I ended up liking, which is totally fine. It's just interesting seeing people come at it from the Ultimates angle, where this is like strictly better than everything else that's come before, and then you have the people approaching it from the monster arts angle coming in being like, what the hell is this? And while your QC, your paint variants may vary, I'm very happy with the product in front of me, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection. Brian, Kyle, anyone else over at Super 7, bring it on. Give me your minus one variants, give me your amazing packaging. I'm here for it all. That's going to be it for me, but I'm curious to hear from you. Are you interested in this figure? Did you miss out on this one? Are you looking forward to the next one? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Until next time, I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.